Vision for America, philanthropy, progress, and unity. In a nation built on bootstraps, the Vanderbilts didn't just pull themselves up, they lifted others. Cornelius's $1 million gift founded Vanderbilt University in 1873, aiming to heal post-Civil War divides through education. Today, it's a top-tier institution with endowments over $10 billion. William Henry's Metropolitan Opera House donation in 1883 birthed a cultural icon. Alva's suffrage work helped secure women's votes in 1920. George Vanderbilt's Biltmore Forestry School pioneered sustainable logging, influencing national parks. Modern Vanderbilts continue. The family's foundations fund arts, health, and conservation. During COVID-19, descendants like Anderson supported frontline workers. Their vision? A united America where innovation serves all, from railroads connecting divides to charities bridging gaps. The Vanderbilts aren't just history's richest, they're its architects. From iron empires to enduring legacies, their story reminds us true power isn't hoarded, it's harnessed for the greater good. If this Vanderbilt voyage captivated you, imagine the tracks yet to be laid. Share your thoughts below. What's your favorite Gilded Age tale?
The Next Generation, Anderson Cooper and the Modern Vanderbilt. Empires endure through evolution, and the Vanderbilt legacy lives on in figures like Anderson Cooper, Gloria Vanderbilt's son, and a great-great-grandson of Cornelius. Born in 1967, Anderson grew up amid faded glamour, his mother's iconic fashion empire and artistic circles, contrasting with the family's depleted fortunes, much squandered by earlier generations. But Anderson rebuilt. As a CNN anchor, he's amassed a $200 million net worth through journalism, books, and real estate. His memoir, Vanderbilt, The Rise and Fall of an American Dynasty, 2021, peels back the curtain on family secrets, from fortunes lost to personal tragedies. Yet he's no relic. Anderson's philanthropy echoes his ancestors, supporting LGBTQ+ rights, disaster relief via the Vanderbilt family's lingering foundations, and education at his alma mater, Yale. Humble yet high-profile, Anderson jogs in Central Park, dines at local spots, and attends events unannounced. His Hudson Valley home, a modest, by Vanderbilt standards, estate, blends historic charm with modern sustainability, solar panels, organic gardens. As the face of a reinvented dynasty, Anderson bridges Gilded Age glory with 21st century relevance, journalistic, philanthropic, and profoundly human.
A floating fortress, the $50 million superyacht legacy. When landlocked luxury wasn't enough, the Vanderbilts took to the seas with yachts that redefined opulence. Harold Sterling Vanderbilt's Enterprise, the 1930 America's Cup winner, was a sleek J-class sloop with teak decks and sails like wings. But the crown jewel was Frederick William Vanderbilt's Warrior, a 226-foot steam yacht from 1903, boasting marble bathrooms, a mosaic-tiled pool, and a crew quarters rivaling hotels. These vessels weren't mere toys. Equipped with early wireless radios, stabilized hulls, and even mini-submarines for exploration, they sailed from the Hudson to the Nile, hosting dignitaries like Teddy Roosevelt. Security was paramount. Anti-pirate measures, coded signals, and discreet armories ensured privacy amid the waves. For the Vanderbilts, yachts were extensions of their empire, places where business merged with pleasure, and the horizon was just another conquest. The world's most exclusive train collection, Rolling Royalty. In the heart of the Vanderbilt legacy lies a collection so vast and vital, it's less a hobby and more an homage. They're antique locomotives and private rail cars. Cornelius started it, amassing personal cars like the Vanderbilt, a rolling mansion with velvet seats, crystal decanters, and sleeping quarters for 20. His heirs expanded it. William Henry's private train, the Wanderer, featured an observation lounge with panoramic windows, a dining car serving gourmet meals, and security compartments for valuables. Today, remnants of this collection are preserved in museums like the Biltmore or the National Railroad Museum. Imagine a restored 1860s engine, gleaming brass and polished wood, alongside 1920s Pullman cars with Art Deco interiors. Some were armored for safety during strikes, others experimental, testing diesel before it went mainstream. These weren't just transports, they were symbols, moving thrones where deals were struck, romances kindled, and America's future plotted over cigars and champagne. The family even owned entire lines for private use, like the narrow-gauge railroad at Biltmore for shuttling guests. In an era of excess, this collection wasn't greed, it was genius, a reminder that the Vanderbilts didn't ride the rails, they owned them.
Horses, yachts, and the thrill of speed, passions that propelled the dynasty. Before the railroads, there were horses, and for the Vanderbilts, equestrian pursuits were more than hobby, they were heritage. Cornelius himself raced trotters in his youth, a nod to his Dutch roots, but it was the later generations who elevated it to empire status. William Kissam Vanderbilt II, or Willie K., was the family's speed demon. In 1904, he founded the Vanderbilt Cup, America's first major international auto race, held on Long Island roads. But horses remained sacred. The family owned stables across the U.S. and Europe, breeding thoroughbreds that dominated tracks like Saratoga and Belmont. Reginald Vanderbilt, a notorious gambler, won the 1920 Belmont Stakes with his horse Man o' War, considered the greatest racehorse ever. Yachts were another obsession. Cornelius's North Star, launched in 1853, was a 270-foot steamship that carried him on a grand European tour, astonishing royals with its luxury. Willie K's Alva, named after his mother, was a 285-foot beauty with mahogany paneling, a gymnasium, and a crew of 50. These weren't boats, they were floating palaces, complete with ballrooms, libraries, and even pipe organs. The family raced them in regattas from Newport to the Mediterranean, turning oceans into playgrounds. And then there were the cars. The Vanderbilt collection was legendary, a fleet of over 100 vehicles blending vintage elegance with cutting-edge speed. Willie K's 1906 Mercedes, which he drove in the first Vanderbilt Cup, custom Rolls-Royces with silver fittings, even early electric cars for city jaunts. Parked in cavernous garages at Biltmore or the Breakers, these machines symbolized the family's evolution, from steam to gasoline, tracks to highways.
The Gilded Age Glow-Up, mansions, balls, and social conquest. If the railroads were the Vanderbilt backbone, their mansions were the crown jewels, symbols of a family that didn't just earn wealth, they flaunted it with architectural audacity. The Gilded Age, that glittering era from 1870 to 1900, saw the Vanderbilts ascend from nouveau riche to social royalty, outshining even the Astors and Rockefellers. Take the Breakers in Newport, Rhode Island, a summer cottage built by Cornelius Vanderbilt II in 1895 after a fire destroyed the original. Designed by Richard Morris Hunt, this 70-room Italian Renaissance palace sprawls over 13 acres on Ochre Point, overlooking the Atlantic. Imagine stepping through wrought iron gates into a great hall with 45-foot ceilings, baccarat crystal chandeliers, and platinum leaf walls. The morning room, imported from a French chateau, features frescoes by Giovanni Boldini. Downstairs, a billiard room clad in Cipollino marble. Upstairs, bedrooms with silk wallpapers and gold-threaded drapes. The grounds, manicured lawns, fountains, and a children's playhouse larger than most homes. But the Breakers was just one gem. Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina, built by George Washington Vanderbilt II from 1889 to 1895, is America's largest private home, 250 rooms, 4 acres of floor space, and 8,000 acres of Blue Ridge Mountains. Inspired by French chateaux, it boasts a banquet hall with 70-foot ceilings, a library with 23,000 volumes, and an indoor pool with underwater lighting, a novelty in 1895. George, the family's scholarly bachelor, filmed it with Renaissance tapestries, Napoleonic artifacts, and a chess set once owned by the emperor. Today, it's a self-sustaining winery and hotel, but back then, a playground for the elite, hosting presidents and tycoons. In New York, the Vanderbilt mansions lined Fifth Avenue like a string of pearls. Alva Vanderbilt's Petit Chateau at 660 Fifth, a Gothic revival marvel, hosted the infamous 1883 ball that forced Mrs. Astor to acknowledge the Vanderbilts as social equals. Alva, William Kissam Vanderbilt's wife, was a force, divorcing him in 1895, scandalous, and remarrying into the Belmont family, all while championing women's suffrage. These weren't just homes, they were statements, guarded by private security, surrounded by high walls, and equipped with the latest innovations, electric lights, telephones, even early elevators. The Vanderbilt residences blended old-world elegance with new-world ingenuity. From foggy Scottish-inspired estates in the Adirondacks to sun-drenched villas in Palm Beach, their real estate empire whispered power across continents.
The Commodore's heir, William Henry Vanderbilt, and the doubling down. Power doesn't die with one man, it multiplies. Enter William Henry Vanderbilt, Cornelius's eldest son, who inherited the bulk of the fortune in 1877 amid whispers of family feuds. Critics called him soft, a mere custodian of his father's empire. Oh, how wrong they were. William didn't just maintain, he magnified. Under his watch, the New York Central expanded westward, acquiring the Lakeshore and Michigan Southern Railway, creating a seamless path from the Atlantic to the Great Lakes. William's genius lay in efficiency. He standardized tracks, upgraded locomotives, and crushed competitors with cutthroat pricing. By 1882, his net worth had doubled to $200 million, making him the richest American ever at the time. But wealth brought scrutiny. In an infamous 1882 interview, when asked if railroads should serve the public interest, William snapped, "The public be damned. I'm working for my stockholders." It was a Gilded Age mic drop, encapsulating the era's raw capitalism. Yet William wasn't all steel. He poured millions into philanthropy, funding Vanderbilt University in Nashville, named after his father's donation, and endowing hospitals and churches. His Manhattan mansion at 640 Fifth Avenue was a fortress of opulence, marble halls, crystal chandeliers, and art collections rivaling European palaces. When he died in 1885 from a heart attack during a board meeting, he left behind not just billions, but a blueprint for dynastic endurance. From ferry boats to iron empires, the humble spark. Picture this, it's the early 1800s, and New York Harbor is a chaotic swirl of sails, shouts, and saltwater spray. Amid the frenzy stands a young boy named Cornelius Vanderbilt, born in 1794 on Staten Island to a poor Dutch farming family. No silver spoon here, just calloused hands from helping his father ferry goods across the bay. By age 11, Cornelius had quit school to work full-time on the water, scraping together pennies to buy his first boat at 16. They called him the Commodore even then, a nickname that stuck like barnacles to a hull. Cornelius wasn't content with puddles. He dreamed of oceans. He expanded his ferry business during the War of 1812, hauling supplies for the government and turning profits into a fleet. But the real game changer came with steam.
While others clung to sails, Cornelius embraced the smoky future, launching steamship lines that crisscrossed the East Coast. By the 1840s, he'd cornered the market on routes to California during the gold rush, ferrying fortune seekers via Nicaragua, a shortcut that shaved months off the journey. His motto? If I can't beat 'em, I'll buy 'em. And buy he did, amassing a fortune that made him America's richest man by the Civil War. But ferries were just the appetizer. The main course? Railroads. As America healed from war, Cornelius saw the future in steel tracks snaking across the continent. He snapped up the New York and Harlem Railroad, then the Hudson River Railroad, merging them into the New York Central Railroad, a behemoth that linked New York to Chicago and beyond. By 1877, when Cornelius died at age 82, his empire spanned 13,000 miles of track, controlling the flow of goods, people, and progress. His net worth? A staggering $100 million, equivalent to about $2.5 billion today. But this wasn't luck, it was leadership, ruthless, visionary, and unapologetically bold. Cornelius Vanderbilt didn't just build railroads, he built America.
The Vanderbilt Empire, railroads, riches, and the Gilded Age Glow-Up. From dusty ferry docks to towering mansions of marble and gold, the Vanderbilt family's story is the ultimate American epic, a tale of grit, greed, and grandeur that turned iron rails into an immortal legacy. Hit that imaginary subscribe button because you're about to board a locomotive through time where one family's unyielding ambition didn't just connect coasts, it forged the very spine of a nation. From humble Staten Island beginnings to the glittering heights of the Gilded Age, the Vanderbilts didn't wait for opportunity, they built the tracks to chase it down. This is a world where luxury meets legacy, and one dynasty rewrote the blueprint for American power.